Hello friends, welcome to the channel Everything You Believe. Today in part 4, we will see the complete story of how World War II ended and how was Hitler defeated. If you have not seen the first, second and third part, I will put the link below in the description. You can watch it later. It was then that the Soviet army troops present on the eastern border were starting to fight with Japan. Now he can come back and fight in the west against Germany to save his country. Another twist comes in our story in December 1941. Well, suddenly Japan goes to USA and attacks Pearl Harbor base without any provocation. More than 2,300 American troops are killed. America did not want to get involved in World War II till that point of time. Seeing whatever had happened in Europe till now, America had said that it is not my problem. Now I don't want to get involved in this. I became very involved in World War I. You guys look at yours. But when this bombing of Pearl Harbor happens, then America feels that enough is enough. At this point of time, America officially declares war against Japan and enters World War II.
I ask that the Congress declare a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
America joins the alliance with Allied forces, which now includes major countries like UK, Soviet Union and China. Here, you will wonder why Pearl Harbor is actually attacked at this moment. There is a complete backstory behind this. I will explain in my next video from the perspective of Japan and America. America takes a few months here to prepare for war. Before entering, Japan had already invaded and occupied countries like Thailand and Cambodia in early 1942. Mid-1942, Hitler decided to focus on the southern Soviet Union. The supply chain which is starting to come should be destroyed before Iran. Here, a dreadful war breaks out in the city of Stalingrad. The Soviet Union army is able to successfully defend itself against the German army. On the other side of Earth, Allied forces along with America attack Japanese territories in the South Pacific. This battle is called Battle of Midway. 4 important Japanese aircraft and supply carriers are destroyed in June 1942.
The Battle of Midway, the Japanese carrier fleet, the mightiest in existence, was utterly destroyed. Japan, at the height of her military power, lost not only a major naval engagement, but in a single day doomed the Japanese Empire to ruin and defeat.
By the end of 1942, the British army successfully drove the Italians and Germans out of Egypt. The Battle of Stalingrad continued for a long while. November 1942, winter season has come again. It is becoming very difficult for the German army to fight. At one point of time, the German army had almost completely captured the city of Stalingrad, but the Soviets kept fighting till the end. Battle of Stalingrad was the deadliest battle during the entire World War II. Ultimately, Soviet soldiers remained unsuccessful. About 3 lakh German troops present inside Stalingrad are surrounded from all sides by Soviet soldiers. These soldiers surrendered in February 1943.
The heroic defense of Stalingrad. The Soviet army turning the Nazi 6-month assault into the most ghastly military disaster in German history. Hands held high, the beaten Nazis pour from house after house in abject surrender.
This is the biggest turning point of World War II. A few months later, in July 1943, the common people living in Italy pushed out the dictator Mussolini literally. The anti-fascist movement is seen in the benches of common people in Italy. The civilians were fed up with their circumstance and so fight a war against their dictator, and Mussolini is assassinated by a common Italian pastimes living in a village. Past tense means the civilians people take up arm to fight for a cause. An interesting fact here, Bella Ciao, which is a famous song. Today, you must have heard it in Money as is Serious. This song originates from Italy at this time. If you had ever noticed, the song begins by addressing "O Partigiano." Partigiano refers to the partisans.
Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao.
Bombastic Mussolini, the sawdust Caesar, comes to his end in the gutter, fitting climax to a life of treachery and double-cross. He led his country to ruin when he threw his lot in with Hitler.
A new government is formed in Italy, and this new government takes the decision to stop fighting with the Allied forces. Gradually, the confidence in the Allied countries was increasing that they could actually defeat Hitler. In November 1943, Stalin, Roosevelt and Churchill, the famous three, met in Tehran to discuss how to end World War II. 6th June 1944, another historical day which is called D-Day. On this day, Allied forces began a terrifying operation to land on the battlefields. More than 1.5 lakh British, American and Canadian soldiers normally land on this bench in France. Here, they will fight on the ground against the German army and liberate France. This was the first time since the evacuation done a few years earlier that the British army was present on the ground to fight against the German army.
Another of the great decisive battles of world history has been joined. This is the day for which free people long have waited. This is D-Day.
This becomes a very troublesome situation for Hitler. Hitler had asked his army to focus on the Soviet Union. There, they had to suffer losses due to cold, could not defeat the Soviet Union completely, and now the attack is coming from the Western Front also. So Hitler decided to withdraw the army from the Eastern Front and focus the entire counter-attack on the Allied forces moving in from the West. As soon as Hitler withdrew his army, a major counter-attack was seen from Soviet Union. Within just 2 months, the Soviets took back about 600 kilometers of land from the Germany. The country of Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary and Romania now came under the occupation of Soviet army. Secondly, Allied forces also land in France from the south. Liberation of countries began one after another. Hitler's army is thrown out. Yugoslavia had thrown out the German troops on its own strength. Now, Germany was being attacked from 3 directions. Hitler plans his last major offensive, which is called the Battle of Bulge.
Reserves of men and material had been hoarded for the day of counterattack. The very much alive German army gathered its forces in the Forest Isles to strike one strong, decisive blow at the American army.
The German army intended to drive out the Allied forces. Before formally invading Germany, Allied forces conduct heavy illegal bombing of German cities.
The aerial phase of the West Front offensive mounts to full fury in one single day of colossal attack. This is the greatest Allied air offensive since D-Day.
In February 1945, a Yalta conference was held in Crimea. In this, it is announced that any country which declares war on Germany can join to attack Germany. Venezuela, Uruguay, Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Lebanon and Paraguay all declares war on Germany. The last 4 months of World War II are the most painful. Almost 30,000 people were being killed every day. As the Allied forces advanced, they come to know about Hitler's concentration camps, where lakhs of innocent Jews were cruelly killed. Allied force continued bombing on German cities. Later, this thing is also criticized by some people that it was unnecessarily to drop bombs on German cities, where many civilians were killed. Cities like Dresden are completely destroyed. It is said that when Hitler could have been killed by going to the ground, there was no need for bombing. By this point of time, it was very clearly that Hitler was going to lose here. Finally, in May 1945, the city of Berlin was surrounded by the Soviet army. Just 2 days before this, on the 30th April 1945, Hitler killed himself. On 8th May 1945, German surrendered formally.
Union Jack goes up to signalize the taking over by the British troops of their sector of Berlin. The date is July the 6th, 1945. A date the history books will remember.
German territories were divided. East Germany and West Germany are formed. A new country of Poland is created from a large part of East Germany, and the borders of many countries are redrawn. The map of Europe that you see today looks that the way it does because of World War II. The map that existed before this was completely different. When a new government is formed in Germany, it's joined hands with France. The age-old enmity that was going on between the two countries finally comes to an end. In the beginning, to increase cooperation between the two countries, a European Coal and Steel Committee is formed so that they could trade in coal and steel. After a few years, nearby countries like Italy and Britain also become part of it. Trading is taken to the next level, and eventually the European Union is formed in the year 2000, an organization which today has eliminated all the boundaries in the benches of European countries, and thanks to which till today there has been no war of this type after World War II in Europe. In October 1945, the United Nations were established. To ensure that there are no more world wars is never seen again in the world.
A brave beginning that can build a mighty structure for peace. Out of a world of agony and total war has come a charter that must mark a turning point in human history. A new way lies ahead.
After this, the framework of World Bank, IMF and NATO is also set up. This is the reason, friends, that you may have noticed that the permanent member of the United Nations are actually the countries which were part of the Allied forces in the World War. One interesting fact that I have not told you yet is that World War II does not end after Germany surrenders. Japan still takes 2 months to surrender. In July 1945, Japan was given an ultimatum to surrender. But this ultimatum is ignored, after which America drops atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Thank you very much.